Under the glowing lights of Riyadh's King Fahd International Stadium, the world stood still for one extraordinary night, a night where the boundaries between leagues, continents, and rivalries dissolved into pure spectacle. It wasn't just a match, it was football's dream turned reality. A gathering so surreal that even the most imaginative fan couldn't have scripted it better. Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar Jr, and Kylian Mbappé, all sharing one stage, one night, under one Saudi sky. The crowd's anticipation rippled like electricity. Cameras flashed from every corner of the stadium, each lens capturing what many were already calling the match of a lifetime. The chants grew louder as the announcer called the names that had defined football's modern era. First Messi, calm and composed, the magician in motion. Then Ronaldo, the symbol of relentless drive and eternal hunger. Neymar followed, graceful yet unpredictable, and finally Mbappé, the young heir to the game's throne. Together, they weren't opponents tonight. They were icons weaving a story the world would never forget. From the first whistle, it was chaos, beautiful, controlled chaos. Messi glided through defenders like time itself slowed for him. Neymar danced with the ball, turning defenders into spectators. Mbappé, with that blistering acceleration, tore through space like a storm. And then there was Ronaldo, still sharp, still dangerous, his every move commanding attention and awe. The crowd roared every time their boots kissed the ball. It didn't take long for the magic to begin. A quick flick from Neymar, a delicate touch from Messi, and just like that, the net rippled. A goal that felt less like sport and more like art. The commentator's voice trembled with disbelief as he shouted, "Messi! My eyes, Messi!" It was vintage Leo, calm execution, divine precision. Neymar was the architect, Messi the finisher. The stadium erupted. But the beauty of this night was balance. Every highlight had an answer. Ronaldo, relentless as ever, prowled the box like a predator waiting for his moment. A mistimed clearance, a faint opening, and suddenly, contact. The referee pointed to the spot. The stadium held its breath. Then, that familiar stance. One deep inhale. And boom, the Madeira missile struck again. The sound of the ball hitting the back of the net was thunder in human form. Ronaldo turned, fists clenched, eyes blazing. Even in a friendly, he was never satisfied with just playing. He was there to conquer, to prove, even now, that his fire still burned as bright as ever. It was a back-and-forth symphony of brilliance. Neymar and Mbappé carved open spaces with lightning-fast combinations. Mbappé's runs were unstoppable, his touch, lethal. At one point, he danced through defenders, past Neymar, and the two played a mesmerizing 1-2 that ended with a shot saved only by the fingertips of Alois. The Saudi crowd erupted in appreciation, not for a goal, but for the sheer artistry unfolding before them. Every player on that pitch understood the gravity of this night. It wasn't just about the scoreboard, it was about legacy, about spectacle. Ramos, the warrior, still defiant, threw himself into tackles with the same ferocity that once defined El Clasico battles against Ronaldo. Neymar, despite a few hard challenges, smiled through it. Football, for him, had always been theatre. And Messi, effortlessly brilliant, created beauty in every pass. Then came another flash of Ronaldo's determination. A corner swung in, a leap, a header, and bang. The net shook again. The commentator's voice cracked with excitement. Beware of Cristiano Ronaldo. The equalizer wasn't just a goal, it was a declaration that even in a showcase, even against time itself, Ronaldo would never fade quietly. He'd fight for every moment, every roar, every piece of history left to claim. On the other end, PSG responded with fury. A silky move from Messi opened the field. Mbappé tore down the flank, drew the keeper, and finished with ease. The applause echoed not just from PSG fans, but from everyone lucky enough to witness it. This wasn't rivalry anymore, it was reverence. But perhaps the most emotional moment wasn't a goal. It was a brief exchange of respect, Messi smiling at Ronaldo after the whistle, Ronaldo clapping in acknowledgement. Years of competition had built a wall between them, but on this night, the wall cracked. The legends of a generation stood side by side, two paths that had defined football's last 2 decades now crossing one final time in the desert. By the time the fifth and final goal hit the net, courtesy of Fabian Ruiz, it didn't matter who won or lost. The scoreboard faded behind the spectacle. Cameras zoomed in on Neymar, still laughing despite a knock, on Mbappé, still chasing every ball as if it were a final, and on Ronaldo, walking off with a look of quiet pride. For him, for Messi, for every fan who had grown up watching their magic, this was closure and celebration. The final whistle blew, and applause thundered through the Riyadh night. Fireworks lit the sky as players exchanged shirts, hugs, and words that would never be shared publicly. For the fans, it was an evening carved in memory. For football, it was history made flesh, the past, present, and future colliding in one unforgettable carnival of brilliance. As Messi waved to the crowd, his smile soft and knowing, Ronaldo jogged off toward the tunnel, glancing once more at the roaring stands. They both understood what had just happened, not a rivalry reborn, but a legacy immortalized. In a world obsessed with numbers, trophies, and comparisons, this night reminded everyone what football truly is: emotion, unity, and moments that stop time. And as the lights dimmed over the stadium, one thought lingered: perhaps this wasn't the end of the story. Perhaps somewhere, someday, under another sky, the beautiful game would once again bring these legends together. If you could have witnessed one moment from that night, Messi's opener, Ronaldo's rocket, or Mbappé's elegance, which would you choose? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we relive the moments that make football truly magical.